Watch your ears.
Dumping it in the water.
Okay, we're going to, everyone take their seats, please. We're going to, I'm not sure. Are you
Yes,
introduce
I'd like to
Elliot?
call Elliot
Elliot,
Falcione down
to
to
the stand.
the
Elliot, to
podium,
the stand.
to the stand to testify.
Swear or affirm?
Yeah.
For our first topic, and then thank you to the boat ramps from Charlie Hunsaker, and if we get there, we'll let them know. Thank you.
Well,
Good afternoon, everybody. You all had a fun morning and early afternoon. We're going to try to keep some good momentum here. It was great spending some time with you all individually a couple weeks ago. We wanted to bring these initiatives to you all in a work session, let you know where our thoughts lie. I think the mindset that we hope you have is this is conceptual. A lot of approximates, a lot of estimations. We're going to keep sharpening things, making sure we don't miss a step. But as you all know, we have a lot of success with tourism, a lot of growth. Keep in mind, we're up to about 8,700 short-term rental units in Manatee County. Out of that, only 16% are hotel motels. So where are we going to see our growth moving forward is the hotel motel world. So we're excited about that. All the tourism tax proceeds, ideally, is we treat that money that we hope we invest properly and make recommendations that you all make a good investment so we keep getting that return. We keep seeing that growth. We keep seeing that diversification. And you all, and we all have done that successfully for probably the last decade. With this initiative, if this makes sense to you all, we will have a fully diverse tool belt moving forward. And that's exciting for the staff that I'm blessed to have, the staff that you're blessed to have. And keep in mind through this process, we did get reaccredited through Destination Marketing Association International as a CVB, which means we're supposed to know best practices in the industry. We are one of 1,100 in the world that are accredited. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and roll through this. We do have some guests that came in from Northern California, New York, and other areas of the country. We have Lee and Leslie Hancock, if you guys can just raise your hands. They are the hotel developers out of Northern California. Lee and Leslie have extensive experience in development, so this is really nothing new to them. We also have, you've seen this guy, Tony DeRusso, the project director. Where's Tony? There he is right there. So I'm going to ask him in a little bit just to come and say hello as well. And Mayor Shirley Bryant has joined us as well today, especially since this, one of the topics is in the city of Palmetto. So we're ready to roll here. So if you all are ready, I'm going to move forward here with the PowerPoint. Okay, the outline for this afternoon is to talk about the convention center, where the hotel developer is on the project for the full-service Sheraton Hotel, what we will be bringing to the TDC and you all at some point on recommending adding some space to that facility. We're also going to talk today about Premier Sports Campus, some of the capital improvements that we want to bring to you later this fall that will actually enhance what our customers want and the opportunity to bid on future events. And then finally, we're going to bring a conceptual idea about the GTE building at the end, and we have Janine Amick and some of her board members here as well. That's exciting. Let's start off with the convention center property right there. The objective for the day is the board to consider an expansion of the Bradenton Area Convention Center to create direct economic impact for our community that would leverage events like out-of-town trade shows and conferences and conventions. Right now, your current facility is catering to a lot of the local events. Some of the out-of-town business that we get really are the sports businesses. It Works does a really neat green carpet event every year, but without the connectivity of a full-service hotel, that beautiful asset in Palmetto will never really meet the objectives of our community. Wanted to run you through a little bit of the history of the convention center. A lot of us were not here in 1978 through 1980, but I never knew this. The Kiwanis pledged $500,000 as seed money to help the community build a civic center. Some of you may not know there was a civic center authority that was appointed back then, and there was a joint venture with basically the company that ran the Dolomite, known as Manatee Gateway, that agreed to work towards construction of the Manatee Civic Center and adjacent, you ready for this, luxury hotel that was never built. I have a publication in my office, 1983, that said the Manatee Civic Center will get a hotel adjacent at the time when the Civic Center opens. Of course, that never happened. What a great guy that I have never met, and I hope to meet him soon. Former House Speaker Ralph Haben got $8 million off the state to build that civic center. So out of the gate, the building never had debt service, donated land, and a brand new civic center. And I think, and I know Mayor Bryant knows this for sure, but Haben Boulevard wasn't even complete when that facility opened. So pretty neat stuff. Groundbreaking. It opened up actually in January of 1985. 1992, the Board of County Commissioners decided to take the Civic Center at that time and make it a department of the county. And then the commissioners became the authority, and they merged the Convention and Visitors Bureau with the Civic Center at that point. I was actually hired 1 year later, and from that time until 2011, we finally used tourism tax proceeds 100% to renovate that facility at $6.5 million. And then in 2015, it was renamed Bradenton Area Convention Center. That's what we call a sub-brand. Of course, as you know, we're the Bradenton Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. Bradenton area as a known geographic locator in the marketplace. And there it is. It's held over 3,000 events in its lifetime. Little current state of the convention centers. Here's the type of events that currently, you all have been to so many of them. Even though we do have a few conferences, not enough to really drive in the new dollars to really feed the urban core and create compression for the surrounding short-term rental units. Wanted to really just share this with you as well. Right now, our operating revenues you cover an estimated 80 to 89% of the occupancy costs. We're at about $25 a foot to operate that. And then that statute allows us to provide tourism tax proceeds to build a convention center, renovate a convention center, and also use it for operating costs. When it gets to the point where you guys make recommendations, when we make a recommendation for you to consider adding more space to the convention center, we're going to be real conservative here with our numbers. You're still looking at 82 to 90% of the operating costs covered by revenues. The TDT would still be utilized to cover any annual budget gap. So the great news is today you have a beautiful facility that is used by visitors and used by the residents, and not a nickel of general fund dollars are budgeted to operate that facility. Keep in mind, too, that we combine the Powell Crosley estate with the convention center as one enterprise. Quite candidly, the Crosley estate nets positive at the end of the year. The convention center is in the red. You marry them together, and that's the end results there. You still have a little bit of a budget gap. The headquarters hotel is really, really exciting. The Palmetto Sheraton Hotel. Here's the site plan. Where it is, the hash marks is all privately owned land. It's about 13 acres on the north side of the convention center. And you can see the ballroom area, the tower area, site plan there. The site plan has been approved by the board of the city of Palmetto, and they'll have their own independent parking. And then you can see that little out parcel on the bottom left for future retail, office, restaurant, coffee shops, etc. Okay, but real important is they bought the land independently, so they're not leasing it off us. They're not buying it off of us. This was sold separately, and the site plan has been approved, so they're ready to roll. That exterior event space, we'll talk about that a little bit later, is called event flex space, about 40,000 square feet, where you'll be able to do indoor outdoor boat shows, RV shows, Super Bowl parties, Final Four events, wine fest, etc. It's going to be a really, really nice feature. Here is just a 60,000-foot view of what the future could look like. Monica showed me this morning that S should not be in front of Tamiami Trail, so disregard that.
That would be
You can
hospital.
see 7th Street, where we hope that it'll extend to Haven Boulevard. If the board approves a right-of-way agreement in the future with the city of Palmetto, you can see where 7th Street could encroach some of our parking. At worst case, probably no more than 80 spots. Where the hotel lies, you can see a future possible indoor air conditioning connector. And then I'm going to talk about on the south side of our building, there will be a recommendation in the future of a 15,000 square foot multi-purpose room and then a parking garage as well. Some of the hotel details that's really, really exciting is the City of Palmetto and the hotel developer have worked out a deal on some CRA dollars. They will be earned by the hotel and paid over an extended period of time to repay some construction costs. The developer has applied for an EDA grant, and they should see the results from that application really soon. We're all excited about job creation. The hotel operation will have 250 jobs, and then the construction alone, you're looking at about 230. How great will it be to have a 252 four-star hotel in the urban core in the city of Palmetto with 10,000 square feet of meeting space, 8 stories, so imagine it overlooking the Manatee River, Riviera Dunes, the lake. Full-service restaurant, of course, and then you have that flex space of 32,420. There will be a VIP rooftop lounge as well. The swimming pool component will actually, you'll be able to swim up to the bar to have a drink if you choose without getting out of the water. We're going to show you this little video
Lifeguard,
rendering
just
that
in
the
case you drown for drunk.
that the hotel developer provided, so we'll just let this roll a little bit. This is actually on the west side.
On the west side.
And you can see in the far, that's our building right there, that elevation. When Starwood was sold to Marriott, Marriott relaunched a brand new Sheraton brand. I was blessed to go to Bethesda, Maryland, to be immersed in the new brand, and the community is going to be really, really excited when they get to see it.
It's nice.
We will run concurrently and work with the developer to build 2 model hotel rooms. We're looking around our convention center to do so. The reason for that is as we quickly get in the marketplace, when this hotel breaks ground, and with your blessing of added space, we'll hit the marketplace hard to woo meeting planners, conference planners, and when they come in, a lot of them want to know what the hotel rooms are going to look like. So we're going to work with them to try to find about 800 square feet to have these model rooms that will exist during the construction of the project. So with that, I'm going to quickly call Tony DeRusso up to say hello and just let you know who he brought in to the community. He has a lot of meetings with us and with other members of the community this week, and then I'll go back into the PowerPoint.
Thank you, Alia. Good afternoon, Commission. How are you?
Good.
It's good to see some familiar faces and some new ones. I know it's been a while since I've been up here, but I may have not been up here, but I have not been absent in the community. We've been working really, really hard, and we've made a lot of progress on the hotel. Just to kind of give you a brief update, we've obtained our Army Corps of Engineer permits. They have been fully mitigated, and we are free to proceed with moving forward on the groundbreaking of the hotel. The only thing that we're waiting on is Elliot mentioned that we have a grant from the Florida DEO that we've applied for. We're waiting for that. There's an environmental review process that's independent of all of the other agencies that we've had to deal with, the City of Palmetto, the SwiftMud, FDOT, Army Corps of Engineers. We've done a lot of that work. But apparently the state needs to do their own process and procedure with it, of which Bob Gause, I'm not sure if he made it back in time yet, but Bob Gause has been an incredible blessing in helping us get through that and show them all the work that's been done. So we're kind of waiting on that. And I would like to let you know that we are scheduled to break ground in October of this year, and we actually just met with the team a little bit earlier this morning, and it looks like we'll still even be able to, right now we're ahead of schedule for opening in April of 2021. Obviously we could get into a lot of the details, but I did want to kind of just mention who the team is. And, Elliot introduced me as the project director, but really what I like to call myself is I'm kind of like a professional middleman. And I'm just really blessed and humbled to be able to work with just such a great team of people. There's so many people that are not proud. They are willing to do what's best for the team and what's best for the hotel, and ultimately, hopefully, what's best for the area. So, and I know we have a lot of pressure, Priscilla, because I don't know if we look as good as the other group. Those of you, I know, but those who know me know that I did get dressed up for you guys today. I even bought some new shoes. I don't know if you see them; they're for you. So. But no, I would like to introduce some of the people that are part of the team. And this is going to go from memory, so some of the statistics that are in my head may not be perfect, but they're pretty close. We have Interstate Hotels and Resorts, and they're one of the top third-party management companies in the world. They manage over 600 properties in over 15 countries worldwide. We have Sandvik Architects. They're actually out of Cleveland. And their team has been involved in well over 100 hotel projects also across the country. We have Kraus Sawyer out of New York, as Elliot was mentioning New York. I had a fantastic trip with him there. By the way, if you ever travel with Elliot, please make fun of him that he cannot put his wheels on the ground in a lot of places. He literally carried his luggage all the way through downtown New York City because he didn't want his wheels to touch the ground in New York City. So please make fun of him for that. Sorry, Elliot, I couldn't resist my opportunity there, bud.
He's going to kill you.
Elliot and I have become pretty good friends. So we have Kraus Sawyer out of New York City. They are a top-notch, world-class interior design firm that, quite honestly, was new to the team in the second go-around with us as a referral from Marriott Hotels. And as Elliot mentioned, we do have Marriott International behind us. We've executed our franchise agreement with them. We are full speed ahead, and they are a big part of the design and the development of this hotel. Unfortunately, our representatives couldn't make it here before you today, but they will be back. They'll be back, and they've been in the community. They'll be back in the community, and we're probably going to make a really big announcement with them when we unveil, as Elliot said, our model rooms. So we're going to be actually constructing 2 physical rooms that will hopefully be exact representations of the room product that our hotel is going to be. So we have Kraus Sawyer. We also have Alexa from the Nest Group, which is one of the top procurement agents in the country. She's worked on, dozens and dozens of hotels across the country. A little bit newer to the team, so it's the first time I've met Alexis here. And then we have Tom Baird from Roy Anderson Corp. Roy Anderson Corp is a division of Tudor Perini, and they've built over 50,000 keys in their lifetime as a general contractor. So we're really, really grateful that they're on board as a part of our team as our contractor. Again, me just being the professional middleman from all these incredibly successful people, and a representation of the development company of Lee and Leslie Hancock. So with that said, I'm not sure if I missed anything or if you have any questions for me. There he is. I didn't know where Elliot was. You were right behind me while I was making fun of you?
Yes,
Good.
right behind you.
I'm sure he was, yeah. So do you have any questions for me before Elliot kind of goes on just in specific to the hotel and where we're at in the process?
Just thanks for hanging in there.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And of course, I'll be here, so if anything comes up at the end, don't hesitate to ask. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
After Tony's hello, please keep me in your prayers. Mayor, I'm going to run through the convention center tweaks, and then I know Mayor Bryant wanted to say hello as well. Okay, let's get down to the convention center. Y'all have been to conferences in your lifetime. It's really important with the competition that exists worldwide to be able to go from your hotel room, stay within air conditioning, to all the amenities that you need to go to. So starting with a 15,000 square foot, give or take, multi-purpose room, it's really needed to host all the different types of events that we talked about earlier, and it would actually free up rental space to bring additional out-of-town business in and diversify us. Going from your hotel room through an air-conditioned corridor to your breakfast keynote speaker session, visualize this, and then go into the main arena for your trade show, go back to this future 15,000 square foot ballroom for keynote speaker lunch session. If we don't have that, we would have to rent an air-conditioned tent in Tony's flex space that really is not appealing to the meeting planners. Keep in mind, we're not only competing with other convention centers, but even resorts now that have all those amenities. Okay, the lobby would align with this new 15,000 square foot space. And so you would actually bring out towards Riviera Dunes more air-conditioned space that would actually also allow us for more registration room and vendor space. A lot of the events today, we're maxing out our lobby space with different types of vendors as well. So that added space will really be helpful. This is going to be really, really neat. You're looking at an air-conditioned corridor from the hotel to the north door of the convention center, and then the hotel developer would build this courtyard that really would give that package curb appeal coming into the property. So that's on the north side right there. The parking garage, really important. I mentioned earlier that if the board and the city execute a right-of-way agreement to push through 7th Street Extension to Haben, regardless, you all know we're short of parking there today. And if we added a parking garage structure on the south side and adjacent to the future 15,000 square foot multi-purpose room, we would net positive about 125 parking spots. We would expect that as the hotel opens, and if this expansion is approved, that there would be ongoing development in that corridor. It really would be not only a gateway for Palmetto, but a gateway to Manatee County, and it would really be a great game changer for the urban core. We're going to show you a little video here as well so you can visualize it differently. That is the south side, so if I'm standing at 7-Eleven, I'm looking that way. The top deck of the parking garage, we've asked Foley Bryant to create an event pad that we can actually put, if we wanted to, 100 by 100 tent on there to do nighttime receptions. That building right in front would be the added 15,000 square foot multi-purpose room, would seat 600 to 800 people. And yes, currently there's a retention pond there. And now we're in the front of the building, and you'll actually see the different entrances. So you can actually have an event going on in the main arena, and then something totally different in that ballroom. How neat would it be to have that ballroom where the community now has space to do proms and weddings and chamber events? Commissioners, you all know that as this community grows, and we're going to be at 400,000 in population before we know it, we no longer have a Bradenton Auditorium for our customers to go to. The Renaissance near Lecom Park is no longer operating as a special event facility. That's a concern. Even if you all approve this fall of adding space, we are quietly looking around the community to see, can we do something at the fairgrounds? Is there other areas? Can we convert something, an old Kmart or something like that, where we can shift some of these events, consumer shows, so we can free up space for new dollars to come into the area. So a lot of thought process going there. Okay, wanted to give you a little bit of a comparison of what's going on around the state. We're not the only game in town. Palm Beach Convention Center, I was thrilled to go visit that about 3 months ago. What a beautiful asset, a lot bigger than ours. Right now, our footprint of the current convention center is 65,000 square foot gross.
Whoa.
The Palm Beach Convention Center, you can see what that is. The Hilton Hotel is beautiful. They do have an air-conditioned connection, and they are planning an expansion. We would actually partner with them to share referrals. What doesn't fit over there could come over here and vice versa. The Harborside down in Fort Myers, it's currently closed. You can see it's still going to be about a 30,000 square foot building with a 243 luxury hotel. That's in the historic district, and you can see where some of the funding is coming from. Interesting, a little bit of general fund dollars from the county and the city. No TDT at this point. I would totally be honest and say we wouldn't be standing here right now if we weren't recommending 100% TDT for this kind of initiative. Okay. Couple more. Ocean Center, 147,000 square feet. They're going to go through a $15 million renovation, only using TDT, no adjacent hotel. But they do have hotels in walking distance. And then, of course, up in Lakeland, 100,000 square feet. You can see they're getting ready to renovate, $18 million. There's your funding components. And then there's a Hyatt Place connected to that, 128 rooms. So we truly believe that with our incentive package that we'll work with interstate hotels and our CVB, and the characteristics of this community will attract business, no doubt about it. The objective of this team is to do something different, do something memorable, and never accept the norm, because we want people to come here and get on their social media and say, oh my gosh, can't wait for you to go to a conference or convention in the Bradenton area. Some of our target business, some people say, well, what kind of business? The Smurf, the state, and actually Vernon DeSears in the audience here, he's done a few of those in his career, the pageantry events. With Sean Walter, our sports commissioner, there are coaches seminars, there's referee seminars. We partner with IMG Academy. They are quite intrigued to partner with us using their assets, using the convention center asset, and then also I'm going to talk to you about Premier. There's a great relationship there. So a lot of different options. And then we have people that are out there helping us, like Helms Briscoe, Visit Florida, the Marriott Corporation. That's part of the value of having a Marriott flag brand in our community. The Sports Foundation that really gives this county, the Board of County Commissioners, about $60,000 a year in grant dollars that help us leverage in tournaments. So there's a lot of different types of associations. We probably will recommend at some point of basing a third-party representative in Tallahassee that will do nothing but just look for business for Manatee County. And that's pretty common in this industry. We had Dr. Walter Klages, as you all know and love dearly, give us a very conservative economic impact estimate. Right now, we're at about 6.8 new dollars into the area, with a projection of a new hotel and added space at the convention center. You're looking at that jumping to about 18.2. Now, here's where it can get confusing, and you know I run around it and I repeat it a lot. Dr. Klages does interceptors year-round. And that's talking to people at the beach, talking to people in downtown Bradenton, out at Lakewood Ranch, and come to find out that we know the leisure visitor, first time, comes back 94% of the time within 11 months. Mm-hmm. That's incredible. Who do we target from a leisure standpoint? First-timers. But now people that are here for meetings, 53% of the time are visiting for the first time. Out of that, 70% of the visitors plan to return for a future vacation. So we asked Dr. Klages, well, when first-timers come to this new asset, will that economic impact jump? And conservatively, he put it at almost $21 million of new dollars, mainly into the urban core. But when they return again, they're going to enjoy other amenities like the beaches, the island, the sports complexes, the agritourism, et cetera. Okay, I wanted to run through a little bit, and this is approximate, the timeline that we're looking at today, and we will keep on tweaking this. But there's a couple areas that I'd love just to go over with you. Obviously, we're here today on the 13th. September, Tony said, early October for the groundbreaking. We really want to make a big splash in the marketplace with this. So we're going to work with Interstate Hotels and Marriott and Tony to really get word out there all the way to Washington, D.C. With the approval of the county administrator and the comfort level of the board, we'd like to get a recommendation from the TDC on September 16th that we would eventually bring back to you. If we've done our job and we feel real comfortable and we've polished up the budgets, Jan Brewer's had time to talk to the FA and look at different types of ways to borrow money. We could come back to the board on October 22nd. And then working with Teresa Webb, she's comfortable the December timeline of going out for an RFP to a general contractor to do the work at the convention center. February 1 would be around the time frame for the loan to close. And then Teresa felt good around May 1, we can award a contractor. We also would have to have a GDP approved by the city of Palmetto, and that gives us, a good 6 to 8 months working with the city to get that done. And then ideally begin construction in July. And I think the construction would be complete maybe just before the hotel open, which really would be good. Ramp up the operation, get the hotel open, and have some business coming in within the year. Okay? Right now, working with Foley Bryant and Charlie Bishop's department, here's some rough numbers that we're looking at. The multi-use room, the expanded lobby, the parking garage. Of course, we need to put some money aside to redo the current parking lot. We've been waiting because we didn't want to resurface the parking lot a few years ago, and then we go and do some different things, then tear up what we just finished. We want to do some interior upgrades to the meeting rooms, the pre-function, the lobby, to not mirror but complement what the Sheraton's going to look like. We don't want the customer to go from a 4-star beautiful hotel to a publicly owned convention center. We want it to look like one. We want that to be a destination for people. I use the analogy, if you've ever gone to Turnberry Isle in North Miami, you go into a destination, and not far from that is totally different characteristics. We think that working with the developer and the city of Palmetto, we can create a pretty neat destination. So with that, I'm going to stop right there and invite Mayor Shirley Bryant to come down. She wanted to say hello and share her thoughts. And then I can ask some questions on the convention center before we go to Premier, if that makes sense.
Thank you, Elliot. Good afternoon, Commissioners, Chair. I'm so thankful to have an opportunity to come over today. I kept telling people it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And now when I say something, I want people to listen to me. It's going to happen.
Yay.
It's going to happen. No, some people didn't realize what we were waiting on, and they thought, something's gone awry, and we were actually waiting on a grant application. So that's been one of the things we were waiting on. We are so looking forward to this, and we appreciate the county working with us and helping to bring this project to fruition, as well as the TDC. It's going to be a real game changer for a lot of different events in the community that have been without a home and really desperately need to have that opportunity to have a home as far as expanding the convention center. But also, we are in so much need of a hotel north of the river. And of course, who can do better than the Sheraton? So we're excited, looking forward to October and getting it, the groundbreaking, and start shining up your shovels. And hopefully we'll have a really great turnout, a big event, and we know how to put one on, right? Between all of us. So thank you all. Thank you for letting me have an opportunity to speak today. And I just want to comment. I think that Tony's team looks very good.
Yeah, I do too.
Any questions on the
Carol has a question.
convention center?
First of all, I want to thank you. Thank you for finally getting this together. Thanks to Tony for not giving up. I've seen you a couple times and had some rough patches, and we're on the upswing now. And I want to thank the mayor for coming before us. Thank her for her support of her city and herself, and the good job that you're doing in Palmetto. And this is actually going to tie it in, because I had a family member, my husband's niece, who is like a city commissioner in Brussels, Belgium. But her business is, or she works for a company that takes execs from all over the world that that work for large corporations. And they go all over the world. And a few years back, I said, why don't you ever think of this area? She goes, there's nothing where you can stay and have your meetings and all that at the same time. And I remember when It Works had their meetings, they had to rent Lecom because there was really no place when they brought thousands of employees down from all over the country. So this is going to be a great option for us. And I'm glad we're all together on this, and I want to thank everybody for the hard work. I know this is going to be money. I know we're going to do it out of the TDC. Seems like we're taking everything and doing everything we can to pay for things related to this out of the TDC. So I know we generate about 12 or 14 million a year, right?
We're probably going to be real close to 15 million
15,
by
okay.
the end of the calendar year.
Okay, so we're moving up, and that's good. And we have a lot of projects that the taxpayers are not paying for. Our tourists are paying for it. So thanks again.
You know, and I'll say this, the board has done such a great job on how they invest for projects. If we invested a little bit here, a little bit there, we would never have the opportunity to do some big projects that are going to make a huge impact in this community. These assets have to grow as the community grows. I didn't mention it. When Ralph Haben got the $8 million from the state, there was the mindset that he could get more. And the original design was a lot bigger than what you see today. And at that time, the board was not comfortable going out for a referendum to have the community help subsidize to keep the venue that big. If there's good timing, I believe in my heart it's now. To seize the moment and take advantage of building the right assets for today that's really going to cater to us in the future.
And I would ask that when we do have all this, a lot of us do know Ralph, have him included in
Absolutely.
cuttings and everything.
He's practicing law in Tallahassee, and he has to be at the groundbreaking.
does.
If we have to drive him down, it'd be awesome. I want to meet him someday.
I've met him.
Yep, nice man.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Ball.
No, you can go first if you'd like.
I was just, Elliot, we've talked. I still need a lot of convincing. It's a lot of money, and it's requires a real vision, type of thing. And I'm not there yet, but I'm not saying I can't get there. But maybe I'll go back to the eye doctor, and you can, make sure that I can see this a little clearer. But just to me on face value, I need some more convincing, to forward out $15.5 million. And I know it's EDC money, Carol, or
TDT.
TDC money, but again, we do have a responsibility as, commissioners to oversee how that money is spent. So, I'm not saying I'm not in favor of it, but I need some more convincing, that's all. So, Commissioner Ball? Yes.
Yeah, I was just curious. I haven't heard anything. I hear that you're looking at breaking ground for the hotel in October, and I think the hotel's a great idea. I'm ecstatic about the hotel. But do we have a local builder building I haven't heard anything about who's going to build it. Hopefully, we're bringing the jobs home to Manatee County.
Yeah, Tony will
I
address
don't
that.
say Bradenton, I say
Yes.
Manatee, but anyway.
That's a fantastic question. So our general contractor is out of Gulfport, Mississippi. However, all of the subs will be utilized from this local market. So those 230 jobs that were referenced in Elliot's PowerPoint will be jobs directly here in the Bradenton area community and surrounding communities.
Okay.
You know, I think some of them are coming up from like St. Pete. I know that one of the subs is from St. Petersburg, but by and large, a large majority of the work being done will be done by the labor force here in the community.
Well, welcome to Manatee County. I'm not sure who the builder is.
Tom, you can raise your hand. Tom,
Okay.
he's a representation of a pretty large team behind him too.
Well,
so.
welcome to Manatee County. We got some great builders of hotels here, I just got to tell you. So if you need some help, there's a lot around. I think the hotel is truly a blessing. I know that, we've been looking for a hotel to go there for a long, long time. I am a little concerned, as Commissioner Johnson said, about spending this much money for, improvements to the convention center. I can't help. Here's my question, and I don't know how you can really define this, but when in my briefing, I talked to you about, the parking spaces all of a sudden that were gone. And I'm like, where'd they go? And the hotel is going to use evidently our parking spaces. So I have to think that the reason that we're doing the expansion is because of the hotel. I mean, I don't believe you'd be standing there before us today, wanting to spend $15.3 million unless the hotel was going in. So I think I'd like to own part of this hotel because we are really helping to make sure that that hotel is a success. And truly, as a business owner, I'm very envious because I got to tell you, what a deal. So I'm a little concerned about it too, and I can see where, it'll be great to have the improvements, because, I do know that we've lost a few shows that we've had in the convention center, so this might be very helpful. I'm looking for all the positives here that I possibly can, and I realize it's TDT funds, it's not taxpayer money, but still. So, I am pushing for the hotel. I think it's awesome. I'm having a little bit of a hard time breathing on all that you want to do at one time. And so another thing, Elliot, on this, I am to assume, you say it's all going to be paid for with TDT funds, but you're bonding this, is that right?
Well, Jan Brewer and the financial advisor for the county are analyzing all different ways on how we would pay for this. So I would say stay tuned.
The reason I'm asking, in all fairness, is, if in fact we're bringing in, because it's always kind of difficult to know, if we're bringing in 14 to 15 million a year in TDT funds, it'd be great if we didn't have to bond it at all and we could just, pay as we go.
Yeah.
Because I also know that when you take out a loan and you might have the cash, sometimes you end up going, well, we'll just keep that loan for a while and, hold on to the cash. So there's a lot of questions there for me yet on this.
I could tell you the only way to do this project is to borrow money. Even though there may be $15 million generated, the county still has commitments, whether it be Lecom Park, the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Anna Maria Pier, our marketing and promotions. So that gets whittled down. Just let it be known that, Jan is very conservative. I will always be very conservative. And make sure that whatever they recommend, we feel really good about. Just to answer your question on your thoughts are definitely valid. 7th Street Extension could take up 80 parking spots. Honestly, if it didn't take up any parking spots, we would still recommend additional parking because we need it. And imagine being able to park in a parking garage to go to high-end events in this future room, let alone all the other advantages of that. I can honestly say that the hotel developer did not ask us to expand.
Thank you. That was my next question.
Yeah, absolutely not. They were building this hotel with the model that exists today. I could show you in the future case studies of counties building convention centers with the hopes of attracting an adjacent hotel. Tampa took years to get that Marriott after they built that Tampa Convention Center. So we are blessed to be having the reverse of the hotel came, they didn't ask us for anything. We, quite candidly, even the connector, they were going to do a canopy connector, and we wanted to do something that really compete in the marketplace with the air conditioning. Now, of course, does that package appeal to them? Absolutely. Will it benefit the hotel? Absolutely. Will it benefit the urban core? More so, because it'll create compressions and fill those other hotels in the urban core that are going to need it. Because you have all this added bed stock. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to let Mayor Bryan, she wants to say
I got
something.
another question for you
Yes,
before you do.
is that diversity helps us weather adversity and economic fluctuation. You would have a county that probably is more diversified than most on the west coast of Florida. You would have an asset that you won't find from St. Petersburg to Naples. Okay? I can assure you there are West Coast communities that would love to have this package in their community because what it brings.
On that note, no,
You want to finish?
yeah, I just want to,
Yes.
you know, I know what you're saying, Elliot, is true. I mean, we go to a lot of different events that are held at hotels around the state and stay in huge hotels that have tremendous ability for you know, meeting rooms and so forth. I mean, we go all the time to this, so I understand how it's important. And trust me, I get it. And I have wanted Palmetto to have a hotel there next to the convention center for years. So I'm not against that at all. I think probably what bothers me the most, and you know, you can sway me, you always do. But, you know, that being said, I think what bothers me is I'm looking at a business coming in, and I'm looking at the county spending, or I'm sorry, TDC spending $15.3 million, and it's almost as though, you know, build it and they'll come, right? And so it's like, I think they would probably come anyway, even if we weren't at this point doing these improvements. So the point is, I can see the need, but I'm just curious as to whether or not we need to do it all at one time, I guess, is more of my concern. That's it.
Sure.
Yes, ma'am, Mayor.
Sorry. I know I'm a little bit out of order, but I'm Shirley Griever Bryant, Mayor of Palmetto. One of the things I wanted to comment, you know, it is true that the Civic Center, Convention Center being there is going to really help to promote the hotel. But I would tell you, I've lived here my whole life. I watched as the Civic Center at that time was built. I've watched as we've tried to recruit different acts and performers to come in there. And what we have always needed to make the convention center successful is a hotel.
Yes, ma'am.
So I would tell you the reverse of that is true, or maybe it's something that needs to occur simultaneously and with the expansion, because it takes one for the other to be successful. So many times I run into people and they say, is there any place in your community to hold a conference? There's not. Almost all of your constitutional officers go to conferences all over the state, sometimes other places, because of having facilities. And they all would like to say, hey, come to my county. Come to my county. But we don't have the adequacy at the convention center because we don't have that component. So it is so long overdue, and I know we're talking about quite a bit of TDC funding, but again, it's long overdue, and it will help in a lot of different areas, and a lot of the very businesses that have been incentivized to come here by Manatee County, also by the city of Palmetto through some of our CRA grants. So I would say we owe it to those other businesses that are wanting to bring in their visitors and to have training for them here and have conferences for them here as well. So I say we owe it to this community. We owe it to Manatee County.
I think the hotel is a great idea. Absolutely, I said that. I'm all in favor of the hotel, and I'm excited about it coming. So that was not my concern, and I do agree with everything you said.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bedak.
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Johnson that this has to be visionary. You know, you gotta have a vision for these kind of things. I can't help but think, and I know it's not an equal comparison, because I'm probably gonna be hissed when I say this, but I was on the team that worked to get the Ritz in Sarasota. Nobody ever believed it would really happen.
Yeah.
And I represented the developer, and I was in those meetings, and no one ever really believed it would happen. And you know what? It did happen, and it is a pretty incredible place. So I'm not comparing this to the Ritz, but you do have to have a vision, and you got to step out sometimes to exercise that vision. Yeah, these are big numbers, but as I understand it, the hotel is coming anyways. The hotel is not taking out any parking of our parking, is that correct?
Maybe 80 spots. It depends on how much 7th Street is going to encroach that.
And we've been wanting to do 7th Street for as
Yeah.
long as I can remember, to extend 7th to Hateman and get that light going. We have been wanting to do that for as long as I can remember. What do we have to do to make this convention center work? What is it we need to do? You know, this is what you're telling us we need to do to make it optimal, to make the connection with the hotel optimal. I guess if we need to hear from somebody else other than Elliot, I don't know. Maybe we do. Maybe we need to hear from somebody, but I like the idea broadly. As far as these specifics, sure, I guess we could drill down and make sure this is what we need to do to make it. You know, it's interesting. We talk about the air conditioning connection. Can't help but think there are times where Florida is a wonderful outdoor place. Certainly hasn't been that way the last month or 2 months.
Today.
But I remember when it was fun to be outside in Florida. So I hope we focus also on outdoor space as well as air conditioned space. You know, I get it, there's risk involved, and governments shouldn't take risk on. I think that's perhaps what you're hearing. There's some concern about, you know, what kind of risk are we taking? And Elliot, you're a great cheerleader. You are a great cheerleader, and I respect your opinion. And I think this is all worth doing, but maybe we need just a little bit more detail. But I certainly, in concept, support it. I think it makes sense. I agree with the mayor. This is what we have wanted for a long time. You know, I watched Sarasota go through their exercise in trying to get a convention, you know, a hotel convention center together, a meeting space, if you will. The Ritz is nice, got a couple nice meeting rooms, but it doesn't fit that bill.
No.
So, you know, again, a little bit more comparison maybe, but in concept, I'm there, but I think we've got maybe a little bit more detail to fill in.
Rightfully so. We were trying to keep this at a 30,000 plus level, all conceptual. We're going to keep sharpening our pencils. Your heart's in the right place to call me a cheerleader. I hope that you all look at me as a professional who's been there for 25 years and has seen the business go by. People wanting to come to this beautiful community to bring meetings. And you know what? Just no interest in the current types of assets to really make that make sense. Tony did bring up a valid point. First of all, the site for the hotel would have been approved without 7th Street extension. But we all want to see 7th Street extension go to Haben Boulevard. So it's really not the hotel taking up the parking spot. It's 7th Street taking up the parking spot. And if the board wants it and the city of Palmetto wants it, and it makes sense to the operators of the convention center, then let's make a deal. We're going to bring you back a right-of-way agreement. We're real close to that. I think Tony getting some answers on that EDA agreement. That'll sharpen the engineering, so we'll know exactly, you know, what might be compromised, if anything.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Commissioner Whitmore?
We don't have anything like this from here to Naples, correct?
St. Pete to Naples.
St. Pete to Naples. why don't we think outside the box? The interest rates are the lowest that they've been in a while. They've come down. I hear everybody up here saying now's the time to borrow. Why aren't we doing that? Our current convention center is tired looking for all of us that go there. It needs to be remodeled. If you're gonna have a 4-star hotel there, you need to be able to have a comparable convention center. I'm sorry. You probably could get this all done cheaper with one plan versus doing it fragmentedly, and then the interest rates go up on us not be able to do it. David Teitelbaum was involved with a lot of this, and you all know that. He was. And he actually brought Tony, correct?
He
Thank
brought the
you.
partners,
He brought
yes.
Tony. He found him. Thank you. And unfortunately, he isn't with us right now. He's stayed out of the picture, but he is the one that originally had brought you. We can pay for this with the tourist development tax. I think we need to think outside of the box. We need to support the city of Palmetto. You know their tourist tax is very, very minuscule. They need a hotel. We need a hotel in North County. They don't have one, and you see what they collect. This would help a lot for all of us. Let the tourists pay for something outside the box that we can be proud of, that there is nothing like it from St. Pete to Naples, and take a risk. It's tourist development tax, it's not property tax, it's for tourism, they're paying for it. So I'm hoping that after much discussion, and you all that have concerns will get on the train and see that this is a win-win for Manatee County. It is something that we have been since 2000, how long, I've been here since 2006, we talked about it. And Ralph Haben talked about it when he tried to get this many, many years ago. And it just didn't happen at that time because they weren't ready. Let's do something first class for Manatee County. And I would like to hear there's a lot of people here today, and I'm assuming they're here because of this. I know Vernon is. Vernon's been all over the world, and he's actually done the Miss America pageants, and I heard that was referenced here. I wouldn't even call you out. But I would like to hear from some of the people here, because you do hear that there are commissioners that have concerns. So we would like to hear from people in the public after we're done. Thanks.
Commissioner Servia.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Elliot. Great presentation. I've been watching this hotel for years, and it has been such a critical component to our whole community, and I'm so happy that it's finally happening. And I really like what you said, Elliot, that it was very nice that we didn't have to make that initial investment in our civic center to attract the hotel. The hotel came first. So that was sweet. And there is that symbiotic relationship in economic development. When you have something that happens like that type of hotel, a catalytic project, we hear that all the time for South County, that catalytic project creates ripples in the economy, the local economy, and things start to happen because there's an opportunity. So I am really excited about your plan. But I also hear what this board is saying about looking into a little more detail of the economic development impact. I liked what I saw, but I think that we need to understand it just a little bit deeper. And then I think we do get there. I think it is going to be a great project. I think the AC connection, we call it AC connection, but I think it's needed because of the rain too. Think about how much rain,
Absolutely.
you know?
Yep.
You got to have that connection. And as you said, Carol, developing at one time is way more cost efficient than piecemealing it. So I don't like to risk taxpayer money, and I won't do it, but this is a little different. These are tourist dollars. This is not being paid for by our citizens here. And I don't want to risk that either because it's too valuable, but show us why it's not a risk. And I hope that we'll all get behind it.
Commissioner Trace.
Well, I'm on board. I've teased Elliot pretty much all along. I keep calling this the Palmetto Civic Center because that's what it is. It's a civic center. People, let's make it into a convention center. That's what we.
Changing the name? Is that a motion?
No,
she
I'm
wants-
not changing the
She wants
name.
to justify it being a convention center, right?
Well, I will never call it the Bradenton Area Convention Center, but
No.
that's another point.
I agree.
But it's a convention center. We need it. We all go. All the time. We're at FAC meetings, fair meetings, all the time. I can't believe Sarasota and the others don't have it.
Either. I thought they
But
would.
with our tourist dollars, we're going to make something special in Palmetto. and something special in Manatee County. I mean, I'm envisioning, I'm not a great visionary. I mean, I'm an ag guy, you know? I mean,
You're not an
doom
ag
is,
guy. You're
doom
an
is
ag
old,
girl.
doom is always on the horizon, but with this beautiful river, think of what we can do with the potential, take boats, cruises, beach access. People will be coming in here and, I think it's a win-win. I think it's a great public-private partnership, which is what we talk about all the time. So I want to make it into a beautiful convention center. We're going to have to upgrade it, because if you put a great, beautiful 4-star hotel there right now, I'm sorry, we look dingy. It's great for Pet Palooza, but not sure, not sure it's ready for,
That was priceless.
the attorneys coming in. I'm just saying.
That was great.
So I'm all over it.
Have to be animal friendly. I'm glad you brought
Oh, you're going to get nailed on that comment. I just want you to know.
She was there.
I'm just saying, I think this is great for the community. I think it's great for the county. And I have no problem ever looking at the numbers and trying to do better, but I embrace this. I think it's great.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, we got 2 more people on the board, and then we're gonna move on to Premier. And again,
Probably open up to public comment.
well, yeah, we gotta, no, we're gonna go through all of the TDC, then we'll go to public comment, because some of them may be here for Premier as well. So I think we should cover everything at that point. But, I think the message here, Elliot, from my standpoint, again, as you're hearing, I know you were trying to give us it at 30,000 feet. We like it at about 150 feet.
Yay hotel, though.
Type
Yay.
of thing, but yeah, I mean, I think the hotel is obviously something Ralph Haven wanted, but market conditions have never allowed it there, and that's kind of where my hesitations come from, is, but maybe now the time is right. But anyway, like I say, I have an open mind. I just think I personally just need to get more comfortable with what you're proposing over there, and I want to make sure that the hotel does become a reality. That we don't do our thing and then suddenly their deal falls through, because that would be, kind of embarrassing.
Who would do it together?
So we have to work again together to make sure that it all comes together. So with that, Commissioner Ball?
Yeah, and I'm glad you just made that statement. It is important for me. I mean, I understand Commissioner Whitmore thinking out of the box. I get it. But when you're talking about 15 million, I want to make sure, and I think, Elliot, I asked you about this in my briefing on it, that one of the questions was, we've looked at hotels before, and this one is really, this is the real deal. This is huge. But if something happened and it fell through, what are we going to do then? As a county, even though it's TDC funds, we have to show that we're spending our money wisely. We still have that responsibility. So, like I said, I'm sure you can talk me into it. You always do. But that being said, I just need more information. But hallelujah on the hotel. Thank you so much for coming to Palmetto, to Manatee County. It's awesome. Thank you.
Not here yet.
Commissioner Serbia.
Yeah, and I neglected to mention that as excited as I get about spending your money, our money, you have the charge, though, on the beaches, which we spend so much of our tax dollars received from tourism on the beaches. It's nice to envision a project that's in our core area.
Right.
That's going to, because those ripples are going to be felt all over the urban core. So I am really excited about beautifying that area. Thank you.
Misty, it's a good point. I'm asked many times, where's our future? Because the island's built out. It's the urban core redevelopment, Southwest District, and the East County evolution. That's where we really need to focus on to grow our community. I'll share with you one quick tidbit, and then we'll move on to Premier. August 2001, my predecessor,
Larry.
presented an expansion of the convention center that showed renderings and a study from a firm out of Daytona Beach. And of course, what happened in September. And it went on the shelf, and that was without a hotel. So we may dust off that one study. We will bring you to ground level when we bring this back for your consideration. And I'll get with the county administrator and make sure that we don't miss a step here And I think the most important is be conservative, under promise, over deliver it, and don't assume anything. And in my 25 years, this has nothing to do with me, but you talk about a project that gets your blood flowing, knowing what it could do for the community. This is it. Lee and Leslie, I haven't known them very well, very long, but a couple words how I would describe them. I'm embarrassed I'm here. Very humble, very genuine, very giving, and first class. And in my heart, once Lee and Leslie get this hotel finished, I have a hunch they're going to bring more business to this beautiful county, so stay tuned. Appreciate your time on that. Mr. Chair, if we can move to Premier.
Please.
What about public comment on this, that all these
No,
people
I'm
came
going to
from?
do all of them.
I should be able to pick up a little bit more momentum here, if that's okay. Okay, as you all know, we've been managing that with property management for about 1.5 years now, and we've learned a lot. The objective for the board is to consider, once again, a capital improvement plan that would respond to our current customer needs and would allow us to bid on collegiate level tournaments. You know, a lot of the things, and Sean and Antonio are in the audience here, they've done a great job. But when you go out there for these major events, it's a lot of it's temporary setup. And some of the RFPs that come in, they require a permanent setup. Sometimes I get the comment that, well, what does this do to IMG Academy? We are not looking to compete with IMG Academy, nor will we ever, but we sure can complement. Mm-hmm. What works in IMG, we support through sponsorships when it makes sense. What doesn't, some customers don't want an IMG Academy. Instead of them leaving Manatee County, we'd like to keep them here, and that's where Premier fits the bill. I've mentioned it to you all. We are working with IMG to create our own Bradenton area signature events once or twice a year, really during the season that we really need to fill a gap, whether that be soccer or lacrosse, etc. A couple tidbits as well. Built in 2011. I can remember being around the table with Rex Jensen, and the visionary that he is. He had the idea of, what if I put some soccer fields in and bring people to Lakewood Ranch and expose them to this beautiful master plan development, and it worked really, really well. He added lights later. Some of the best fields that you'll find in the United States. And then, of course, the underground irrigation. 23 full soccer fields. I think IMG has 20. Gosh, within 20 minutes, you have 43 soccer fields. There's a lot you can do with that. And then, of course, you all purchased Premier in 2017. Here's the breakdown. We were allowed to allocate up to $4 million of tourism tax proceeds for the stadium and related amenities, warm-up field, some parking, some concessions, restrooms, etc. And then the balance, the statute allows you to use the TDT on certain things and certain things that you're prohibited. As you all know, Bill Clegg is our tourism tax expert. And so the county figured out that legally they can only put $4 million into TDT, and then impact fees was $2.1 million. There's a few shots. Look at 2011, and then I think Antonio told Rex, if you can light 8 fields, we can do a lot more. And they invested, I think, well over $1 million for that. And then they did a partnership with us to enhance and build a stadium. So there's the construction where Rex put in 3,500 seats, some permanent restrooms, a little press box, some scoreboards, and of course where Antonio works out of, and then the overhead irrigation system that really is more efficient than the underground. We were able to do that, help Rex do that by sponsoring through in the community brand awareness to reinforce the brand to visitors when they come in. Right now, we have met our estimates that we shared with you when we bought Premier Sports Campus. We actually did a little bit better on the bottom line than what we promised. But right now, the revenues are covering about 70% of the operating cost. We are constantly selling sponsorships, looking to diversify, turning over every rock to try to be more efficient, more optimized. Will this ever be a sustainable operation? Not ready to say that. Never say never, but we're going to keep on trying to fill that gap. I hope some of you have been out. I know some of you have. Vanessa's been out there, and I know Betsy with her kids. But you know what? Nothing better than having a Labor Day tournament, 250 teams to cater to the mainland properties. The U.S. Soccer Academy, the Nike Friendlies in December, exciting, the amount of teams. And international teams coming from South America, the Netherlands, Central Europe. We have my favorite soccer team, AS Roma, out of Rome. They do a youth tournament out there, and they're looking to bring some other clinics there. They're basically based out of Boston. So we're trying to build that relationship with them as well. The FC Sarasota Soccer Tournament, right around usually after Easter, a nice push for the industry before we get into the summer season, and that continues to grow as well. And then the President's Cup, 270 teams. Really, real excited. And stay tuned. Sean and Antonio have been out in the marketplace looking to add some more business, and we're looking to see some growth next fiscal year. A lot of the commissioners ask questions about, how much local use, are we really using it for that? First and foremost, when y'all looked at me in the eye, when y'all bought Premier, you said, Elliot, make sure you and Charlie keep that place pristine. Well, that was music to our ears, because we can't continue to put team after team, day after day, that would compromise the turf. So we're able to artistically spread out the events, but at the same time, contract with Monsters Lacrosse. You have Premier Flag Football League, the Sarasota Lightning. These are all annual events that continue to use Premier. Lakewood Ranch Adult Soccer League, Sarasota Adult Soccer League, the Chargers Soccer Club. They were based out of Clearwater. Now their home base is in Lakewood Ranch as well. Here's some of the growth in a year. So 33 to 36 events. I think what really is exciting is the number of hotel room nights growing, and then, of course, with that comes the economic impact. And that's only with a complex with a lot of temporary use. There's our ratio of out-of-town play, local play. Would we like to see that 70-30? Well, sure, if it makes good business sense. We would love the community to use it more and more. So Antonio has great outreach capabilities, and he's communicating with them. So you probably will see that increase a little bit. At the same time, we are known worldwide for the quality fields that Premier has to offer. Where do we go from here? We've met with U.S. Soccer in Kansas City. We've met with AS Roma in Boston, the Lakewood Ranch Chargers, and the NCAA to say, hey, where do we go from here? We've gotten some feedback, and one of the issues of concern was the parking lot. It's quite candidly with us. Chad Butzaw's department, Chris Mowbray and his team did a great job helping us to redesign the current parking lot. And what we want to do is add a drop-off loop to get the parents to drop the kids off, get them out of line, so keep that traffic flowing and keep it off State Road 70. The way Chris redesigned it, we are able to add 429 parking spots. Okay? Is that enough for probably 4 to 6 signature events a year? No. But we're cautious that we don't want to overspend in a parking lot that is only used 4 to 6 times a year. So we will still partner with Charlie Hunsinger and shuttle some students to or athletes to Lakewood Ranch Park as needed. But the more we can park on the property, God forbid if it rains or lightning, they can just go to their car and they're protected as well. And then enhancing of the handicap parking with the True Grid base. some employee parking, and I'm going to show you an aerial there. You can see the drop-off loop. To the right of your screen is the stadium, and to the left you'll see where it says 194/233. That is added parking, and to the right of that is some additional handicap parking. We wanted the handicap parking to flow all around the stadium with proper sidewalks, so we are really within code of the county. And then the south side, you can see to the right there is State Road 70, where the 120, 145 would really be for coaches, referees, volunteers, and then we would have grass parking for our employees as well. So they were able to maximize the amount of parking spots at an efficient rate. The other thing that kept coming up with a lot of our clients, and Sean will tell you that he can't bid on a lot of collegiate level events, is the multi-purpose building. We really still need to add some additional restrooms and concessions. We're still renting some of those air-conditioned trailers on a lot of the events. We don't want to put people in porta-johns, so it's an added expense, but that first impression in that brand is really, really important. This would allow us to add some more. Air-conditioned EMT trainer's room, currently they're under a 20 by 20 tent. Anybody that's injured or needs attention. Meeting space, a manager's office, place to register the athletes, of course, a trainer performance room. The laundry facility is really important. They're scrambling to clean their uniforms between days. To have that there, they would be really, really excited. And of course, anywhere we can add some shade for the parents, the grandparents, the relatives that come, we're going to try to do that. There is a visual from Foley Bryant that designed it. It's conceptual, so they'll polish that up a little bit. And that will be, let me just show you right there where it says 194, right where the 223 is where that multi-purpose one-story building would be. Close enough to the stadium because it'll basically be an amenity for the stadium. Okay, the other thing that is required for a lot of collegiate level tournaments is permanent locker rooms. The current stadium where Antonio's office is today, we can add 4 team locker rooms, 2 referee locker rooms that include showers and restrooms. So the center area is where Antonio's office is. Rex did a great job by adding the concrete pads for future use. And actually, he had the designs done when y'all bought Premier. So it helped us save some money there as well. That would be a huge enhancement to Premier Sports Campus. The U.S. Soccer live streams, and AS Roma live streams as well. Right now, the lumens really aren't bright to really for the viewership. Musco is used throughout all your parks today. So the Musco rep can actually increase lumens and actually save us about 30% in electric. Now, as you know, there's no homes close to that stadium, but we will make sure as we evaluate the lighting, we want to put some bigger scoreboards in. Right now, I call it a basketball scoreboard in a soccer stadium. So we really want to enhance the fan experience and the players' experience. But even the sound system, we want to put a permanent sound system in, but it's going to be no louder than the temporary sound system that's put in between events that's pretty costly. And then, of course, the lightning protection system, the life safety of the athletes and families is important. Currently, each promoter that comes in monitors their own lightning protections through whatever resource that they're using there. We feel it's in the county's best interest to do that for them. As some of you know, right now the entrance sign is a vinyl banner. That first impression and curb appeal is important. So it's just a conceptual. We believe a static one and not a digital one. Digital may not even be allowable under the code, but a static one is important to have out there because people coming and driving in, it's just a good locator of where that beautiful complex is. Some of the types of athletic events that we can bid on post-capital improvements. I had mentioned to you all, we did hire I call a bird dog out of Indianapolis, Indiana, who has great connections with the NCAA and U.S. Soccer, and he's going to help us go after business based out of Indianapolis. We will have you meet him at some point, and he actually, we met him at the World Rowing Championship a couple years ago. Great guy. Important that we do diversify. We have a bad habit of calling it a soccer complex. You know, we play lacrosse there. We do flag football there as well. And what Antonio and Sean are going after is like grass volleyball. And Australian rules football is coming in this year as well. Archery, 5Ks. Really, really important that we can continue to flow business in there. And they move the fields around, so some fields are recovering while we still have play in other fields. Here's, as of today, the guesstimated timeline that we're looking at. Pretty consistent with the convention center one, because we feel it's important that if the board is curious about this and we do our job, we would want to go to the TDC with both capital projects together. We'd want to come to the board for both capital projects together, because Jan Brewer's office is going to probably recommend that we borrow money, have one loan that services all these projects. So you'll see the timeline aligns really consistently with the convention center, but this project obviously would be finished a lot sooner than the convention center. It's not as dynamic as the convention center one from a building standpoint. Overall, both projects together, we still have a balance on when we bought Premier Sports Campus and the renovation. So Jan and the FA are going to work through that to see, does the county pay that off and then borrow the money for the new projects? Do they wrap around a new loan with that 5.3? So stay tuned for that. But that's the 23.8 is combining the convention center and Premier together, with Premier being about 8.5 million. And then we'll figure out, right now we're paying debt service on an interfund loan at $500,000 a year. And that payment will be due very soon, by the end of this fiscal year as well. Any questions on Premier Sports Campus?
Yeah.
Commissioner Ball.
Yeah, questions. The loan that we have right now on Premier, can you tell me a little bit more about that? Because I didn't hear a lot about it when it was done initially.
Sure.
You said $500,000 is being due when?
Yes, probably end of the fiscal year. So probably in September. It's an interfund loan that we pay back the government $500,000 a year. When the county was considering buying Premier, we had debt. We were paying $500,000 a year on the convention center renovation. The idea was, with the $4.1 million that we were going to put more tourism tax into Premier, we took the two, combined them, and borrowed out further to keep the $500,000 debt service a year. So we actually picked up Premier at the same debt service, but we borrowed out to, I think, 2028 on that. So we just extended it. So now we'll have to, Jan and her FA will revisit and see what the best way to underwrite that if we move forward with these two projects.
I think it's great to look at Premier as more of an international type facility. It kind of makes us different from everything else that's around the area. So I like the thought of that more so than really concentrating mostly on, here locally. How many days a week would you say? I mean, not all 22 fields are being used all the time, are they?
No, they actually during a week's worth of play, they'll play on a couple fields one day, and then the next day they'll be relocated to some other fields to
Right.
rest the fields.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I would take a wild guess and say 12 days or so. Those fields are being used per month. The seasonality may shift. We're really not focusing too much on out-of-town business in February and March, because we're on all 8 cylinders with the leisure visitors. Okay, so we're more focusing on post-Easter and until about February 1 is where we're really looking to supplement visitation to fill those hotel rooms at places like Premier.
Okay, well, I know you mentioned the intersection. Thank you for the sign. I like the fact that it says Lakewood Ranch. That's nice.
Yes.
I'd have been having a fit if it didn't. But anyway, thank you for that. I don't know if you guys know this. I'm going to assume you do, but FDOT is going to be putting a light there. You know that, right, at State Road 70?
Honestly, I was not aware of that, but that's great news.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
at the FDOT meeting the other day about, taking State Road 70, four-laning from Lorraine Road down to 675, and there is a stoplight there, so that's really good news. You had mentioned that we're still, of course, at a loss on this property, and we knew that we would be. Can you kind of share with us where we are, though, financially on that? And I guess, Elliot, what I'm saying is, it sounds great what you're looking to do at Premier, but financially, where are we right now with Premier as far as, how much in the red are we? I mean, you said we're in the red, but you didn't tell me how much.
Yeah, I don't want to throw numbers out and then have the media write it, and I'm not going to be accurate.
You already said it's in the red.
Correct. We do have a gap every year. What I can tell you, and I will follow up via a memo, what we estimated the shortfall will be, we over-delivered. We actually had a better year than that. So I'll work with Jan Brewer and our CFO to give you those numbers, so I'm 100% accurate and get that out to you quickly.
Yeah, please, because
absolutely.
that's going to,
Yes.
we need to take that into consideration. I can tell you that, that I think Premier is the cat's meow. And you know that Antonio, I don't think anybody could run it any better than Antonio. I think he's the best. So I'm anxious to see the improvements that you're talking about. I think it will help, but, I need to know more of, with the improvements, how much more business do you think that will bring us? In other words, the money that we're going to spend, how are we going to see it returned? So I need a little more information on it, but I definitely want to see it done, but I need more information.
It's a great question, and it's, I would say it's not just the additional business that we can bring in. It's really letting our current customers know that we're going to continue to make improvements and be a leader in the industry. I'm not going to disclose it now, but Antonio and Sean are working on some big news with some of our current clients that you'll probably be hearing in the next month or two. That's really, really exciting, and I attribute that to those guys' hard work. I tell you what, Antonio's a name, not only in our backyard, but in the marketplace. They believe in him. They trust him.
That's why I said
and he's invaluable.
internationally.
Yeah,
I know.
so but we can give you a little bit of both to give you some peace of mind there. But we try to be leaders and not follow what other counties are doing in the country related to sports venues.
And let me ask you this, have you done any sort of, I'm sure that you probably have like a business plan, like most people opening a business would. They'll sit back and they'll look at their initial investment, how much it's going to cost and what the return they're looking at. I mean, have you guys done anything along that line?
Yeah, we actually have a 5-year plan.
Good.
That's
Okay.
very, very detailed. It's always changing all the time.
Sure.
Because those things change quickly. But we will show you the kind of ROI that we'll get based on the investment.
Thank you.
And a lot of it is business retention.
Okay.
But we can tell you, we're really good. We, as in the board, the TDC, and our staff, I'm a very, very little piece of the puzzle. We know how to incentivize in the marketplace to really, because once we get them one time, good chance they're going to want to keep coming back.
Yeah, and if I could just one last thing and I'll be done. Thank you for taking my questions. And I think I've probably told you this in the past, but I remember when I first got elected and I had to go to IMG. I didn't have to. I went because I wanted to go, but I was going to go on a tour. And the gentleman that was taking me on the tour, he kept mentioning Rex Jensen to me because he knew I was from Lakewood Ranch. And I just went on and didn't really say much. Antonio, I think, knows this story. At any rate, by the end of the tour, we go back in this room and we're sitting down and we're talking. And I looked at him and I said, "Can I give you a piece of advice?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "Let me tell you." He kept telling me that Rex Jensen would never do the things that needed to be done at Premier to make it successful. That he would never build, seating. He would never build a concession stand. I mean, he said those two things. And so I looked at him at that point and I said, can I give you a piece of advice? I said, let me tell you, never underestimate Rex Jensen. I said, because I can tell you, if he decides that he wants those things at Premier, they'll be there. And so you look at Premier today, and here we are. The stadium seating is there. I was involved in that. The concession stand is there. I was involved in that. And, here we see Premier. Now you're trying to take it to the next level. So, my point is that Premier is a gym. And it has from the first day it was built. It's been a gym, and we need to continue it. We just need to make sure that we're doing it in a good way, that we can stand and continue moving forward with it. So thank you. If you could get me that, I'd appreciate it.
We will share that with the board this week. SMR and Rex have been great partners still today. As you know, they still
Yes, God
sponsor
bless 'em.
cash to Premier, and they also have opened their doors to Lakeside and the Country Club to allow us to host guests in those beautiful amenities, which what separates ourselves from the competition.
Absolutely.
So it's been a great partnership.
And he's always made sure that was the case.
Yes.
So, all right, thank you.
Carol?
Elliot, do we have any four-star hotels in Manatee County
Well,
right now?
no.
Okay, that's what
I hesitate. I'm sorry. Zoda would be a 4-star out on Longboat Key.
Oh,
Okay.
great, yeah, that is.
My hesitation is a limited service hotel is traditionally a 3-star product.
That's okay.
The Sheraton would be the second full service in Manatee County.
Well, we don't have that yet.
Correct. So right
Okay.
now, Zoda on Longboat Key is the only
I
one.
forgot about them. That's Manatee County. Here's my deal. First of all, when we bought Premier, we were all in our meetings told how this debt was going to be paid, the $500,000. It was going to wrap it around to the convention center and this. So we all knew that's how it was going to be. I support both projects. I don't think any project is less than the other. This convention center, and of course, we know Premier brings people from all over the world, athletes. Convention center, you can bring conferences from all over the world. The problem is we've never had it. So this will be the second four-star hotel in Manatee County. And again, there's people in the audience, and I hope you come up and say something about this, because for those of you that have traveled all over, both are needed. We've got a way to fund it. We've found a creative way to fund it. The tourists are paying for all of it. I support the whole project. I don't support, and I won't support separating it. That's how I feel.
Okay. Seeing nobody else, I think we can thank you for the presentation and
Great.
Thanks.
open this up to public comment at this point.
We can open it up for public comment for Convention Center and Premier. I wanted to share a conceptual about the GTE building. It's about
Oh,
6
I'm sorry.
slides.
You're right.
And I
Okay.
want to call Janine Amick up. It's a really cool idea. And I'll say this, there is nothing better in a community than a cultural district. And the urban core is on the cusp of having a cultural district. Sharon Hillstrom will tell you that the first question or two that prospective businesses ask when they come into town is, tell me about your arts and culture in your community. And as you all know, Janine has done an incredible job getting that theater built. And so good, she's running out of room. And with the expansion of the Bishop. And you're going to hear some neat things about what the Arts Center is going to be doing. Janine had the idea of what is this GTE building doing? And we have some ideas of what we can use it for if we can give the Board of County Commissioners a proposal. So we just wanted to run you through a few slides, share this conceptual with you, and then Janine and her board will send a proposal to the county administrator within 30 to 45 days for her to look at it and see, to bring it to the board. Pretty neat. Built in 1925, Peninsula Telephone Company. Local architect, J.H. Johnson, probably wasn't Foley Bryant at that point, right, guys?
Oh.
Look at that, built to accommodate the rapidly growing communication systems in Manatee County to house all new dialing system. Manatee County purchased it in 1991. Current use, record storage. Look at the, Kathy Slessor actually sent that to us. Pretty cool.
Look at the switchboard.
Yeah, I think Ron Allen's building's not even there at that point.
The
I
switchboard.
think Ron was building stuff back then, though. Is he still here? Is he behind me?
He's there.
I thought he left.
No, he's got your back.
He has unconditional love for me. Okay,
Maybe the building will start to go up.
here we go. Here's Janine's idea, is to give a proposal to the county to purchase the GTE building by the Manatee Players, Inc. The primary focus would be for performing and technical arts education. Obviously, there's a secondary focus of rehearsal space. They're really struggling for the actors to rehearse, as busy as both theaters are. Tertiary focus, technical, hands-on training. Can't share with you the need of that training in this not only community but the region. Of course, audition space, and I'm going to segue to Janine now because she's going to tell you the really exciting partnership that she's formed with the Straws. Go ahead, Janine.
Okay. Thank you, Board of County Commissioners. I believe I know everyone, but for the record, Janine Amick, CEO of Manatee Performing Arts Center, and excited to share this with you. We've been trying for a couple of years since we moved into the new facility in 2013 to really grow our performance and technical arts education classes. No one does it better than the STRAS, which formerly known as the Tampa Bay Performing Arts Center. We've been meeting with them, and they will join hands with us to provide satellite location for the STRAS here in downtown. But we don't have space in our building. The uniqueness of this program is, as you are well aware, Manatee County has a great number of homeschoolers, also those who participate in Florida online schooling. With us providing these music theater classes, choir classes, day-to-day training, and partnering with the STRAS, now students who are homeschoolers who come to us for education purposes will also get a transcript because the STRAS is accredited. And it's the only one in this region that does provide that. So instead of us duplicating services, we're partnering with someone who is excited about the partnership. They'll have all of the proper teachers. From a perspective from an artist, imagine hiring somebody who's only teaching 3 days a week, okay, living on a limited income. This now will provide that same teacher to teach 3 days a week in Tampa and then be able to provide 3 days teaching in the downtown Bradenton area. We've now provided somebody with an arts background full-time employment. And so we're excited about that, as well as you can see, partnering with Del Couch. Part of the first floor of the facility that you'll see is hands-on technical training in regards to voiceover lessons, how to act on camera, audio technology, sound effects. We'll be able to remove that and bring it centrally downtown. One other aspect is if you've ever taken piano lessons or instrumental lessons during your life. Right now, what we're finding a trend is that no longer do parents feel comfortable, nor do teachers feel comfortable going to someone's home and dropping off a child for a lesson. So what we've incorporated into this proposal space on the first floor are private rehearsal rooms, so that parents can stay in the lobby. And then you'll notice that there are 5 practice rooms specifically will be available to teachers, piano, guitar, voice, and a nominal fee. We're talking about only charging them $10 an hour to rent the space so that they can continue to provide people access to private lessons to hone their skills, but essentially in a public environment where everyone has a safe and secure place to learn their craft.
Cool.
Oh, sorry. Okay, in the second floor, what you'll see is 4 small dance studios. This is part of the partnership that we'll have with the STRAS to be able to provide these classes both during the day Okay, and then in the evenings, you may not be aware that our Manatee Players, which is our resident troupe that many of you have seen, a number of our productions, they rehearse in the evenings. So also the uniqueness of filling space downtown when other parking spaces during the day are used. We're talking about really bringing people downtown in the evenings. They rehearse from Sundays to Thursdays from 7 to 10 p.m. So again, not a burden on the downtown traffic at all. The top floor is 2 full-size musical rooms. If you've ever been in Kiwanis Hall on the 2nd floor of the Performing Arts Center where Kiwanis meets on Tuesdays, we're talking about 2 rooms the same size. The uniqueness, what we love about the building, something that we see is definitely a benefit, it's already wood floors. And for dancing purposes, that's extremely important. You're not dancing on concrete, so there's already sponge. And so that's something that when we're looking at facilities, we would have to, if we were building, would have to add that. So the GTE building definitely, in some ways, would be easily for us to renovate quickly and move in.
So basically, at this point in time, Janine and Ron Allen are evaluating the building. They've talked to Charlie Bishop. Of course, the records are in there, so Charlie's working on a relocation plan if the board asks him to do that. This building would be connected to the chiller plant for future use as well, which is an advantage to the county as well. And they're looking to give the county administrator a proposal within 30 days. We've known Janine for a long time, and y'all remember many people said you can't build a new theater. Mm-hmm. And Janine was the leader that got it done. I've never met with Janine where she said she's going to do something and didn't do it. She's probably the best arts executive in the community, and any opportunity that we can partner with her, I think, is really, really exciting. So stay tuned. The county's working on it with her, and see what the county administrator thinks about it, and then you may see this come back to you all at a future board meeting. With that, thank you so much, Janine. And I know your
Yes.
board members are
So
here.
I have board members, and so if you would allow me or indulge me, we have Dr. Ron Lennon, our board chair, took office in July 1st. Ron Allen sits currently on our board. Vernon DeSears is also a current board member, and I don't think anybody else. Yes.
Thank you.
Great, thank
So,
you.
Perfect.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great.
Commissioner Benak.
Very cool.
I know.
Very, very cool. I've been in that building.
Huh?
It's interesting. Why did the county buy the building again, Elliot?
No.
I don't know the why, but I know they bought it in 1991.
I know.
Sherry, I don't know if you can remember if there was any rhyme or reason.
I do not at this moment remember. I know that we moved into this building in 1989 and that it was adjacent. I do not know right now, except for the tower possibly.
Yeah, the tower.
Yeah, the tower that's next door.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, well, obviously there's a lot of details need to be filled in, but certainly I could see the need as somebody who, my grandmother was a piano teacher, so I didn't have any issues of where I was going to take piano or if I was going to take piano.
Yeah.
You know Del Couch's reputation of,
I do.
of putting
Del
students
Couch
on the
has done amazing things
American
in this
Idol,
community.
yeah.
And I don't know much about the Straz other than what I hear on the radio, quite
Plays.
frankly, but I think that's really
Strauss
exciting.
Theater?
But we have
Yeah.
so many talented kids in this community.
know.
Dell has done an incredible job of finding them and mentoring them and helping them move along. Just, yeah, I think it's a really cool idea. I look forward to hearing more, and certainly the more we can do to make downtown Bradenton a cultural arts community. I mean, I was at Arts Center Manatee on Saturday. People love it. People love to come down. It was rainy, we got to walk around. Nobody cared. You got your umbrella out, but walk around, see the things that are going on in downtown Bradenton, the hotel. It's just fun to
What's
see
really
what's
important
happening.
to Janine and her staff is the actors, musicians can walk from the theater to the GTE building. It's really, really important that the proximity is so close.
Okay. Sounds
Good
cool.
job.
If there's no other questions, Mr. Chair, we can open it up for public comment.
That's what we shall do. Thank you, Elliot. Great presentations, all three of them, and all exciting things pushing Manatee County forward in a lot of different fronts. So at this point, if there's anybody from the public that would like to come down and make a comment on any of these afternoon's presentations, please feel free to come down. You'll have 3 minutes. State your name. Nobody? You've been sitting here all day? Vanessa, you want to go talk? Oh.
Funny.
Okay. Well, in that case, we'll close public comment. And at this point, we just have, Sherry has an announcement.
Charlie Hunsiker and the Parks and Natural Resources crew have agreed to move to the Thursday work session, and they will be right after the internship program, so it'll be around 2:15, 2:30, and then we will close out that day with our capital improvement plan, IST. Thank you.
Okay, with that, the meeting is adjourned.